Here's what I know is true. Most weight loss plans are one size fits all. So frustrating. They don't take into account each person's individual needs, which could mean dietary restrictions, medical issues, or other personal needs. That's why you're going to love Noom. It's built for your psychology and your biology, meeting you where you are. Noom's personalized programs feel more sustainable than any other, more restrictive weight loss programs. And also, it doesn't shame you when you choose to treat yourself, and that's important. I like this company because it's got a psychology and biology-based approach and a super easy app to use with lots of great features, including daily lessons, coaching, and flexibility. I think it's your time to start. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit Noom.com for more information. Here's the thing, it's kind of gross out. It's freezing. And even those of us that embrace the chilly weather, which is of course not me, we need something to break up long winter nights. Something that I love to do is treat myself to a little something. So I like to go and I like to shop online. And one of my favorite sites to go to is Quince, because you can treat yourself to everyday luxury, but at an affordable price. Something that everyone needs in their closet. In my opinion, the Quince's iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters are a must-have, which only start at $50. And if you really want to up the luxe factor, you can check out their Italian leather bags. You gotta get the tote bag. So whatever you're looking for, all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. And they can do that by partnering directly with top factories and cutting the cost of the middleman, passing the savings on to you. And of course, they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel. So give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/Kate Casey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Kate Casey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Kate Casey.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey. I hope that you have had a great week, and I've got a great episode for you, especially if you love the show Southern Charm on Bravo. My guest today is Molly O'Connell. She actually hails from Charleston, South Carolina, and she's a new cast member this season. This is the show, of course, about a group of friends living in the Palmetto City. Molly left Charleston initially to pursue her career as a model, and she catapulted to success by appearing on America's Next Top Model in 2010, and she was a finalist. And you may have also seen her in an episode of Below Deck as a charter guest. Well, since her role on America's Next Top Model, she's appeared in many high-end fashion publications and walked the runways of couture fashion shows. But she's returned to Charleston to be closer to her family and friends. What I love most about Molly is her honesty. She's been open on the show about her struggles with a thyroid condition that caused her to gain weight and thus lose modeling jobs. She's also been open about feelings of self-doubt. She's even open about having feelings for her friend Shep. In this episode, she discusses her adoption, the death of her brother, body image, and coping with CPTSD, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a mental health condition that develops after experiencing prolonged or repeated exposure to traumatic events. You're rooting for Molly because she's an admitted nerd who has a deep love of music and puzzles. She's a sensitive, deep thinker who is bold, firm in her beliefs, unwilling to compromise her values. She's a great friend and she's got a great sense of humor. But what I love most is that she's got her feet firmly planted on the ground. When I asked her about her experience on the show, she reflects on the connections that she's made. I don't think of it as fans. I think of it as having friends who understand me. Here is my interview with Molly. Molly, I've been so excited to talk to you all season. I've so much loved watching you on the show. So first of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I'm really pumped. I love your podcast. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, First question I have is, I understand that your parents are attorneys. And I'm thinking you have modeled around the world and you are a musician. You're clearly very creative. Who in your life was sort of like the person you would talk to about creativity or pushed you into a creative space?
Both my parents love music. My dad is not musically inclined whatsoever. He would love to be. My mom plays piano and sings. So I started out playing music in our church band. I was maracas and tambourine when I was about 3 or 4 years old. And then at age 5, my mom put me in piano lessons. So I took piano lessons for 5 or 6 years. And then, so I mean, she always encouraged that. They let me look through their hundreds of CDs and pick whatever I wanted. And they would take me to court, actually, if, they didn't have a babysitter or something. They take me and they say, sit in the back. Here's a disc man. Listen to whatever song you want. And so my first CD I grabbed from them was Prince.
Nice.
And I would listen to that, in court or everywhere. And so they just were they encouraged me to do whatever I wanted, anything. But my mom and I really connected on music for sure.
Were they both litigators?
Yeah. So my mom mainly did family and divorce.
Wow.
And my dad was a criminal defense attorney. He was chief public defender for South Carolina for a while. They're both pretty big deals. My mom is retired now, and my dad is actually in the process of sort of retiring. They also own a different Quadro business, which is like separating divorced people's like 401ks and all that blah, blah, blah that I don't know about. They wish I did.
What's it like to be raised by litigators? Like, how does that impact your life? Or do you find that you're more direct? Do you find that you're a good mediator? Do you find you put up with zero nonsense?
In a way, yes. I'm very good at arguing a point and, trying to like convince them to do things my way. They are also very good at doing that back at me. So yeah, growing up with them, I've definitely learned how to somewhat debate and and also just vocabulary. I was a huge nerd. I still am, but I just love puzzles and words and so we would go to dinner and I'd be like, scramble a word for me, a long word, and I'll try to unscramble it. Like I would make them do puzzles with me, but they're such word nerds too that they loved it. And I mean, they're just very good. I mean, they speak well. That's passed on to me, I feel like, and just made me think that those things are important. I think they are very important to be able to.
I think you're right. If you grow up with parents that are voracious readers, it does expand your vocabulary, but it also piques your curiosity. And I would assume having parents that probably know everyone in town.
Yeah. On a good or a bad level.
Well, right. Because one is in the criminal element, the other one's in family court. Do you feel like you know everybody in the state of South Carolina?
Basically, or everyone knows my parents somehow. I would meet a lot of my friends' parents in high school, and they'd hear my last name, and they would either be like, "Oh my gosh, you're Ann Sterling's daughter," or they'd be like, "Oh, are you Ann Sterling's daughter?" And I was like, "Ooh, she took all your money in the divorce, didn't she? And my mom helped. Uh-oh, sorry." There was a lot of that, but I mean, they're really well known. They've been around for a long time. They're 79 and 78. So it's.
What do they think of the Murdaugh case? Because do they feel like? So
my mom tried a case against the grandfather at one point, so they know who they are. They watch it, but we love to watch like crime stuff and that anyway. My mom and I especially. They've been following that. They think it's very, not fun to watch if you love true crime, but very close to home. And they know the people. So
wow,
pretty crazy.
So at one point you decide you want to be a model. So for this pair of litigators from South Carolina, what's their reaction to that?
My mom. They've literally always encouraged me to do anything that I want, even if it's not along the lines of what they would necessarily want for me. And so I wanted to start modeling when I was like 11 or 12, right before I hit my growth spurt. And I had a bowl cut. I had gaps in between all of my teeth. So I looked like, a little goofy. And I was like, I went to a modeling casting call and they were like, you need to grow 5 or 6 inches, get braces, grow your hair out, and then come back and talk to us. And I happened to do that within the next year or two.
Wow.
And so then I actually looked like a model. I don't know why I wanted to do it looking like I did, but I just always loved like tearing pages out of magazines of like my favorite models, and I don't know, I just thought it looked fun. I loved America's Next Top Model. My mom and I watched it every Wednesday for years. So yeah, they were really supportive of it. My dad, they paid for Millie Lewis to do all these photo shoots, which is, it was a lot of money to hire photographers and stuff like that. And then I didn't audition for that. I was like, I'll never make it and I'll be sad. And they contacted me after finding photos of me online. And they asked me to come to a private auditions after they had done most of the rounds of lots of people. So my dad drove me to Nashville and spent the weekend there with me. And I was doing like every couple hours, I'd do a new interview with a producer, and they would cut a bunch of girls. And then they say, okay, you go to the next round. And so I was there for like 3 days, and they were like, all right, we'll call you in the next month and tell you if you get on the show. So my dad was super supportive of it. Like I can't say it enough. They're the most supportive parents ever.
That's great.
And they've dealt with a lot from me because I've had a lot of issues.
Well, when you say issues, what do you mean?
So I didn't get diagnosed with CPTSD until about 2 or 3 years ago, but I've had it all my life. So I wasn't getting the correct like behavioral therapy that I needed, and exposure therapy and grief counseling that I never got because I had a lot of death in my family when I was young. My brother died when I was 6. And within about 6 months, 2 of my uncles and a cousin died of cancer.
Wow.
So, but I was so young, I think they thought, oh, it doesn't affect her that much. And I think it did. And there are a lot of other things that have happened in my life to kind of compound on more traumas and stuff. And so I acted out a lot. I was adopted, and I was told at a very young age that I was adopted. I think before I could really quite comprehend that as a 3-4-year-old. So I acted out a lot. I was a really good child, they say. And then in middle school, I kind of just started acting like a little shit, honestly. And yeah, they've just always stuck by me. They've never, they've always paid for therapies. They've tried to figure out, what can we do to help her? And they've continued to do that into my now late 30s. And they're always helping me, try and find new therapies and stuff. And I finally found things that work. But they stuck with it for a very long time. And I really appreciate them. They're the best people.
This show is sponsored by Liquid IV. A lot of you are starting new rituals for the new year. Whatever you do, you can come into your own way with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV. I have to say my favorite flavor is the new Hydration Multiplier Sugar-Free Raspberry Lemonade because it's a bright, zero sugar, flavor combining notes of ripe, freshly picked raspberries and citrusy, zesty lemon. I just take the pack and I pour it into a large glass of ice cold water and I knock it back and I feel like $1,000,000 and my skin, it looks so much better. And it really gets me going on my day. I think you're going to love it too. I love the benefits. I like feeling like I'm hydrated all day long. And if you're somebody who's outdoors or plays sports, this is an absolute must-have. So listen, break the mold and own your ritual. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. So embrace your ritual with extraordinary hydration from Liquid IV and get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code KateCasey at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code KateCasey at liquidiv.com. Let's be honest, raising a family today can feel like navigating a maze of unhealthy options. It's really hard to know what's actually good for our kids. That's why I love Thrive Market. It's like having a personal guide to healthier living for my entire family. They make it simple to find trusted, family-friendly brands without spending hours in the grocery store, and who has time for that? My favorite part, the Healthy Swaps scanner in the Thrive Market app. You need this, and I'll tell you why. You can scan a product that you're used to buying and it instantly recommends a cleaner, healthier alternative. For example, my kids love tacos and instead I got grain-free shells They didn't even know the difference and they love them. For my family, this has been a game changer. I've made some great swaps. So I'm telling you, you're going to want this. You're going to love it. I found so many new brands I've never heard of, and you're going to love them too. Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey, and you're going to get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/Kate Casey, thrivemarket.com/Kate Casey. Well, tell me a little bit about your brother.
His name was Patrick, and he was severely intellectually disabled. He was quadriplegic. He could really only move his head a little bit, couldn't speak. Once I was born, he was living in a facility that could take care of him because he needed just a lot of care around the clock. And I have another brother, Ian. He was 12 when my Patrick died. Patrick was 14, and so he just died of sepsis in my dad's arms.
Wow.
Yeah, he was sick all his life, in and out of ICU. And
do you think part of your desire to just kind of go for things, like you didn't have a modeling background, but you pursued a career in modeling and you have moved around the world and now you're on a TV show. Do you think part of that is because of that life experience and wanting to make the most of life in a way that your brother couldn't?
Yes. Yes, for sure. Or at least the desire to. A lot of times I get paralyzed by my own fear, like around music. I probably would have wanted to be a professional musician singing Broadway. And I got very scared about that. And so I have a lot of guilt around not pursuing every single thing that I want to. And I think a lot of it is subconsciously probably some guilt from, not taking advantage of all of the things that I am able to do. And I'm doing all of them, but I don't want to undermine the things that I have done because I tend to do that. But I have done a lot. And my parents have supported that. And they never cared if I was smart or good at everything. They just wanted me to be happy and funny. They wanted me to have a good sense of humor, which I think both me and Ian, my other brother, do. So yeah, I think it's definitely, in a way, caused me to, want to do the most that I can with my life.
I feel like what people have gravitated to you on the show is you're just authentically yourself. And believe it or not, reality shows sometimes, I think, people tend to get a little bit tightened and they worry too much about how they're being perceived. I'm sure that the modeling career has helped you kind of work some of that stuff out. But when I see you on screen on the show, you're authentically yourself and you're honest. If you feel badly about the way you feel or you think something's absurd, all of those things seem really quite honest. Did it feel like a transition to be on a TV show like Southern Charm? Because I've interviewed Adrienne Curry and she told me that America's Next Top Model was quasi-torture. It was really, really difficult.
Yes. And I think she had even more trouble on the show. She ended up getting extremely sick being in in the ER. And she powered through that because she was like, they're going to kick me off if I don't go. But yeah, I would still do Top Model again, knowing what I know and how they treated me. I didn't get the worst of it, like a lot of people did. That Lisa D'Amato, they really fucked with her. But yes, they would purposely not feed me. They'd be like, here, we're doing interviews. You can have a sandwich after. And the interview would be like 4 hours long. So I'm like hangry. And then they poke at me and make me, how mad were you when this happened? And I'm like, I was so mad.
But then they called you negative. They called you a complainer and negative. Yes.
And then they didn't show all of the extra stuff that they did to mess with me and why I was so negative. To be fair, I do complain a good bit and I was bitching a lot, but it was kind of like my relief of kind of comedic relief. I
think it's your sense of humor, self-deprecating.
So yes, self-deprecating. I make fun of things. I complain, whatever. I'm not really that but yeah, they did mess with us a lot. And, but it was still also one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had. And I'll never be able to do photo shoots like I did on that show. They were so cool.
Yeah, they were cool.
Yeah. It was
But
fun.
even in this show, we get to see you do that photo shoot in the pool.
Yeah.
And that was beautifully done. I mean, that photographer was really quite talented as well.
Yeah, she's great. And I was worried just because I haven't been modeling much because I did gain weight, and most of the stuff that I do is sample sizes, which tend to be size 0 2, and I'm not that. And so it's hard. It's hard to, people are like, oh, why do you keep talking about your weight? And I'm like, look, for normal life, this is fine.
No, women appreciate it. Trust me when I tell you, we like to hear it because it's the truth.
It's the truth, and it's how I feel. And I'm not trying to say that everyone else who gains weight should be so bothered, but I grew up in the modeling industry. I grew up watching Top Model. I went on Top Model. It's so toxic. Those times were so toxic. People who weren't around then or old enough then don't get, they would show people 20, 30 pounds lighter than I am. And they'd be like, ooh, you're the biggest girl here. You're plus size. How does that make you feel? And it's just like, what? It's wild. So it's like beaten into my head, that this is bad, but I was underweight. So, that's not healthy and that's not realistic, especially for my late 30s. So I'm getting more used to it. But it's been a lot.
Well, I think it's honest. And there are a generation of women who looked at magazines and felt immense pressure. And our culture was really driven to celebrate people who were quite small. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is just an extension of important conversations about women and body image and aging. And I think that's why people have really gravitated to you, because you're just being honest about the things that we're thinking.
Yeah.
And when you performed music on the show, mm-hmm. were you touched by how much the other cast members enjoyed it? Like, namely, Shep, but to see him become so emotional about it, was that a surprise?
Yeah, honestly, I thought everybody was just like, ugh, we've got to go to Molly's band concert. She invited us. I'm like, all right, it's a thing. And I, number one, didn't think everyone was going to show up. I know that Madison and Austin couldn't. They were busy, and Madison sent a donation, and they both were like, we're so sorry we can't come. But I was not expecting it, and I wasn't expecting such a good response. And I think I just always assume people are going to think it's weird. And they don't, and they got it, especially Shep. And then the response that I've gotten from just people after that concert has been insane. It makes me cry when I think about it. Like, people are like, I picked up my instrument after 20 years because of you. Oh. My child is in band and she's embarrassed because people make fun of her. I showed her this episode and she was like, wow, it's cool. Someone on TV does this. So, I tear up. I don't know. It's a universal language. People understand it. And I underestimated that.
Do you feel like in some ways being part of the show and moments that you've had this season are sort of healing part of yourself? Because that example, you could probably think of yourself as a younger girl playing. Is the instrument the euphonium?
Yes, euphonium. So I dumb it down. I dumb it down because most people have never heard of that. And most people have heard of a tuba. And euphonium is essentially a smaller tuba. So I say that. But yes, it's a euphonium. A baritone is the same thing with a curved bell. Mm-hmm. And I played that my first year playing. And then I switched to euphonium. My parents bought me a really nice one when I started going to art school. So yeah, euphonium. But I've always, while it was nerdy, I never felt embarrassed. But I know that other people do, and that there is a stigma of like, oh, the band, but I always embraced that because I thought it was funny. But I do know that a lot of people get made fun of and stuff. And I'm sure people made fun of it behind my back, but it's like, I don't care. I can play an instrument. Can you? No.
Exactly.
If you don't get it, you're just jealous.
And you knew some of the cast or a lot of the cast before you did the show?
Yeah. Everyone. I had just met Ryan. I guess Ryan I met when we both came on as newbies. And then I knew Sally. I've known everybody else for years. I didn't know JT super well, but I had, seen him out and said hi. He's always been nice. So yeah, I've known everybody for a long time. Living in Charleston and, going out on King Street in the nightlife, it's so small that, you're going to see everybody at some point.
And you've probably been in the background of some of the other scenes over the years, I'm sure.
Yeah, a couple, I think two or three maybe. I was Whitney's date to Patricia's stag party. And then I went to the polo match where T-Rav and Ashley were there.
Oh, those were crazy years.
Yeah, they were. And I don't really remember most of that. I was blackout. I had a boot on my foot. I had broken my foot. I was walking around in the boot.
Hobbling.
Hammered. Oh, man.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY at checkout.
Here's a tip for growing your business. Get the Venture X business card from Capital One and start earning unlimited double miles on every purchase. That's right. With unlimited double miles, the more your business spends, the more miles you earn. Plus, the Venture X business card has no preset spending limit, so your purchasing power can adapt to meet your business needs. The Venture X business card also includes access to over 1,000 airport lounges. Just imagine where the Venture X business card from Capital One can take your business. Capital One, what's in your wallet? Terms and conditions apply. Find out more at CapitalOne.com/VentureXBusiness.
What is that like to now be on camera and to film it? Is it a surprising experience? Is there something that surprised you about it?
It is different. And I wasn't sure how everyone was going to feel. I know that I'm their friends, but I didn't know if they were all going to be cliquey and not nice to the new people. I don't know. Even though they're my friends, I didn't know how it would go. And it went really well. Everyone was so nice and would give me advice and just be like, this is awesome. I'm excited you're coming. But the reality TV that I'm used to is 24/7 following you around. Your toilet has a shower curtain in front of it, so you can't go hide if you're freaking out. Right. Motion sensor cameras in the corner of the rooms. And if you're not on camera, you can't speak. It's called being on ice. And so we weren't allowed to talk to each other if we were waiting for them to set up the photo shoot for 3 hours. So this was much different than that. It's more just they follow us around, not all the time. They don't always wake up in my face or anything, but it's more just when we hang out, they come follow us. So that was different. Which I like.
Yeah.
Please don't follow me around all day. But it's been good. I am really high anxiety, and I'm always how are people going to perceive me? Are people going to think I'm weird in a good way or a bad way? And so during filming, I was always just so in my head. But watching it back and just the feedback that I've gotten has really been amazing, and I'm surprised by it, honestly.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you knew them before? Do you feel like you're closer to some of them because of this experience?
Yes, definitely. Not only just because we're hanging out even more than we did, but it's just different working. It's so working. It's just different having this in common. It's something that barely anyone understands.
For sure. Absolutely.
So that's a different bond for sure, to have, people who get that part of my life. Because I have been on reality TV, but most of my friends haven't. And so, it's definitely kind of a big bonding experience to just be on it and understand what it's like.
Now, if we're to take a snapshot of this show and the life of someone your age in Charleston, the life of Charlestonians, Is it what it seems to be, that there are a lot of older guys trying to date younger women? And what happens to the women that are out of that 25, age range?
I mean, I could be dating lots of men my age, a little younger, older. Thankfully, I'm sure a lot of them are like, oh, you're a little old. But yes, even those men, even the older men, I typically go older. They will still hook up with, or maybe even try and date like young 20s. And it's just like do whatever you want, I guess. But I don't know. But it's everywhere, to be fair. I've lived in a lot of places. But yeah. And the men, the Peter Pan thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's real.
And is it because Charleston is just flooded with more women?
I honestly don't know if that's like statistically true. It's been like, that's what everyone says. Like there's way more women than men. And also just, we've got like hot women here. I don't know, a lot of hot ladies. And then the men have all, given us PTSD from, so now we're all crazy, no, I'm just kidding. That's but it's hard to date here. For sure.
Well, everybody wants you to be with Shep.
I know. Or people want me to be with Craig too.
Or Craig.
Now that he's single. Oh, poor Craig.
Don't you think Craig needs a little, like just a minute to calibrate?
I'm not trying to hop on someone and be a rebound or like, or I don't think anyone should, you can go have fun. But I think he needs a minute. I think everybody needs a minute.
I think everybody needs a minute. Yeah, absolutely. And this season, we're going to go see you, the rest of the season, go on this trip, and a lot of other crazy stuff is going to happen. What is something that you are really looking forward to us seeing?
I mean, I'm excited for more of the Bahamas trip to just kind of show like we all had a lot of fun. They didn't show girls' night, and there's a lot of stuff that isn't shown, and that's fine. But girls' night was a really fun night that I wish we got to see more of. We have clips and stuff of it, but like behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, I just, I had a lot of fun with my girls and my guys, but in the Bahamas. And I don't know. I think also, not, Shep and the Sienna thing. I'm not excited because it's, sad because she's obviously, not that into him. But I think that'll be exciting for everyone else to see play out
what happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as we move forward after this season, is this something that you would like to continue to do, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
The fact that you're connecting to so many people, and like I said, I do feel like maybe that in a way it heals yourself, especially just being so open about your obstacles in life. I think it probably does do something to your own soul.
I think it's very validating. Because I was like, oh man, are people going to think I'm like talking too much about things or, doing weird stuff, like nobody cares. I thought people were like, no one's going to, why'd they hire this weird girl? We don't want to see any of that. But it's been very validating to have so many people relate. And even if they don't play an instrument, relate to that. I talked about my weight and my thyroid. Hundreds, thousands of messages from people talking about their thyroid and thank you for bringing that to light and talking about it. No one ever talks about it. And I think it is really healing and it's very validating and it just makes me feel like I'm not alone. And I think I'll be a lot less anxious going into next season. Than I was, because now I feel like I have all these supporters and new friends. I feel like it's not fans, it's like friends, people who get me. And I just love that.
My last question is about how much the show has actually helped your career. Because when I watch the show, I'm thinking she must be getting phone calls from makeup companies and other companies that want her to be part of their projects. Has it helped your career, actually?
A little bit, not surprisingly, not as much as you would think. I think, like, sure, makeup and stuff, but I mostly did like clothing and like print work. I haven't gotten a ton, which sucks. I was hoping for more.
Well, let's put it out there now.
Yeah, let's put it out there. Hire me, please. I want to model still. And I'm still working on losing a little bit of weight. You know, I'm not trying to I do not want to be underweight and as thin as I was. I want to be at a slightly healthier. I don't even care about the weight. I want to feel healthier.
Yeah.
And feel a little better when I look at myself naked. But yeah, I don't know. I'm down. Let's model.
Well, I've really enjoyed watching the season, and I'm really grateful for your time.
Thank you. I'm really grateful. Thank you for having me.
Tell everybody where they can follow you.
Oh, yeah. You can follow me on Instagram, Molly A. O'Connell, and then on TikTok. I don't post a lot there, but I post a lot on Instagram.
Thank you, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been fun.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Molly, and remind you to make sure that you click subscribe, make sure that you leave a 5-star review, and come back for more episodes. And go back and listen to my archived episodes as well. I've got plenty for you to listen to with everything in every category of unscripted TV. I've got sports docuseries, true crime, personality profiles, everything that you can imagine. And you can get my list of what to watch each week in unscripted TV by going to katecasey.substack.com and with bonus episodes by going to Patreon, patreon.com/Katecasey. And lastly, make sure that you follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter and Threads at @KateCasey. Check back for an all-new episode tomorrow. It's a Saturday series episode and not one that you want to miss.
Trip Planner by Expedia. You were made to have strong opinions about sand. We were made to help you and your friends find a place on the beach with a pool and a marina and a waterfall and a soaking tub. Expedia, made to travel.